there, my name is Dr. Marissa May. In this video, we'll be multiplying binomials that have radicals in them. Now, I want you to notice that my radicals are not just ordinary radicals. They are radicals that have a negative number inside of that square root, which of course leads us to know that we need to be using our imaginary numbers because I is equal to square root of -1. So let's take a look at problem number 1. I'm going to rewrite that square root of -16 as square root of -1 times square root of 4. Oops, sorry, times square root of 16. Let's make that a little easier. Let's begin with problem number 1. I'm going to rewrite that square root of -16 as the square root of -1 times the square root of 16. Because I want to make the substitution that the square root of -1 is I and the square root of 16 is 4. And so what happens is it makes it a little bit easier for us to simplify. Okay, so let's just go ahead and rewrite that parentheses twice. Since squaring something or raising it to the second power really means to multiply it by itself, I find sometimes this is just a little bit easier to see the multiplication. Now we'll multiply first times first. Maybe you'll use the distributive property or the FOIL method. Either one works. -3 times -3 is +9. -3 times +4i is -12i. 4i times -3, -12i. And 4i times 4i gives me 16i to the second. I can combine the terms with the I here. -12i minus 12i gives me -24i. And then we have to look at our imaginary numbers. I equals square root of -1. So if you raise both sides to the second power, you get I to the second equals -1. This is the one we'll probably use as our substitution. So I'm going to replace that I to the second with a -1. So now I have 9 minus 24i minus 16. And now I can combine the 9 minus the 16. That gives me -7 minus 24i. And this is my answer. I've simplified as far as I can. Of course, I can't join the -7 and the -24i because one has an I, the other doesn't. All right, let's do one more like that. I think you'll see the patterns when we do the second problem. Okay, so on problem 2, let's go ahead and rewrite square root of -9 as square root of -1 times square root of 9. And again, we'll make that substitution that square root of -1 is I and square root of 9 is 3. All right, so I have 5 minus 3i to the second. So we'll rewrite it twice so that we multiply that parentheses by itself. And then let's use the distributive property or the FOIL method. Either one works. 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times -3i, -15i. -3i times 5, -15i. And -3i times -3i, 9i to the second. Okay, combine like terms. We'll go ahead and combine that. -15i minus 15i gives me -30i. And then again, we're going to make that substitution. We're going to replace that I to the second with a -1. So 9 times -1, of course, gives us -9. And then 25 minus 9 will give us 16 minus 30i. And there we go. I hope you can see the similarities between the two problems. I basically use the same process, and I like to do 2 examples so you can see that is a process. It's not unique to that specific type of problem. All right, friends, be sure and leave me a comment down below if you'd like to see more videos like this. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.